Hello, this is AnlineOffline. This is the 19th episode of my Casual's Quick Guide to Call of Duty Mobile. For today's video, we'll be covering the BK57. Unlocked at level 34 and available since launch, the BK57 is a fully automatic Bullpup assault rifle that was first introduced in COD Online as the AKBP or AK Bullpup. And since 7.62 is an optional ammo conversion, the base version is most likely chambered in 5.45. The real version of the BK57 is rather difficult to identify. If it's simply a Bullpup conversion of the AK-74, then both KVAR and TWI offer their AKU-94 and Koshevnik Zenico respectively. But there are more notable and proper Bullpup conversions of the Kalashnikov. The OTS-14 Groza is a Russian Bullpup that saw limited usage in Chechnya and was later added to Black Ops Cold War. However, the BK is most likely not the Groza due to it not being chambered in 5.45, barring some early prototypes. Rather, the BK is most likely based on the Ukrainian Vepr, based on its base cartridge and the timing of Call of Duty Ghost release, although that version of the Vepr is miscategorized as an SMG. The Vepr, Ukrainian for bore, but not to be confused for the Russian shotgun, does not have much information around it. In the aftermath of the Soviet Union's collapse, Ukraine was left as an independent state with plenty of AK-74s. The Vepr was an attempt by Ukraine's National Space Agency to modernize the platform in a Bullpup configuration. Lacking in economic wealth, military alliances, and being exclusively right-handed, the Vepr was not able to be adopted. Instead, it was cheaper to import Western arms like the Israeli Tavor. Although keep in mind, the aging AK-74 is still the most common rifle of the Ukrainian military. The abandoned Vepr would later be picked up by IPI and reworked into the Malyuk, or Vulcan. This new rifle improved upon its predecessor's shortcomings. It's ambidextrous, it's available in 5.45, 7.62x39, and even in 5.56. Recently, it has been seen in the hands of Ukrainian special forces in the ongoing Russo-Ukrainian war. Similar to its real-life counterpart, the BK57 fires at 660 rounds per minute. Damage per shot is moderate, killing in 4 shots up close and dropping to 5 or 6 from farther away, with an effective range of 35 meters, thus giving you a time to kill that's somewhat average. Body multipliers are also simple. 1 times base damage to the body and 1.2 to the head. Headshots aren't really worth the trouble, even with the 7.62 cartridge. 7.62 increases the headshot multiplier to 1.3. With this, it is technically possible to achieve a 3-shot kill if you land all headshots, but I wouldn't count on it. Additionally, it is also possible to shorten your time to kill from farther away with a single headshot. Even then, I wouldn't rely on the 7.62 mag as it comes with a bunch of unnecessary drawbacks and not enough rewards. As for mobility, the BK57 almost plays like an AR-SMG hybrid to match its flexible playstyle. I do appreciate the new stats page, but from here on out I will be double checking those. What I've noticed is that the reload times actually refer to the reload cancels. In terms of accuracy, the BK was one of 2 ARs that did not receive a BSA buff from a couple seasons ago, because it and the Peacekeeper already had above average accuracy. On top of that, the BK has one of the best tapers in the game. To offset this, the recoil is moderate and is shaped like an arc, as opposed to the usual linear or jagged patterns. The iron sights aren't great. They're okay for close to mid-range engagements, but I wouldn't fault anyone for using a red dot or a hollow because of its already above average accuracy. The BK57 is an underrated weapon and always has been. The closest it was ever being to meta was when the HBRA-3 was first released as a paid exclusive, and the BK just so happened to be the closest alternative after the AK-117, Type 25, and S-36 were nerfed. That was 2.5 years ago. So where does it stand now? It's definitely a top 10 AR. It's somewhat similar to the Kilo 1-for-1, but the Kilo has slightly faster fire rate and much easier recoil. How should it be buffed? A few things. The current trend that a lot of weapons have been following these past few seasons have been to increase the head, chest, and arm multipliers. Not enough to make them meta, but enough to make them high risk, high reward weapons. Increasing the chest and arms to 1.1 isn't outlandish. I'd even suggest increasing the head to 1.3 like the 7.62 does. Speaking of 7.62, it should receive a complete rework to be a proper ammo conversion. A slower firing but hard hitting caliber with a 3-shot potential. It won't be meta because the current meta is biased in favor of weapons with fast strafing, fast fire rate, or easier recoil. But it would be a breath of fresh air. I'd also like to see a return to its earlier recoil pattern, which was more jagged. And lastly, this is more of a pet peeve than anything, but some of the BK's attachments are mislabeled. The short barrel should be an MIB light because it doesn't increase your movement speed like a short barrel should. The combat stock should be a skeleton stock because it secretly buffs your ADS movement speed. And the skeleton stock does the opposite of what it should be, and thus it should be more of a strike stock. But hey, that's just my opinion. This has been a Casual's Quick Guide. Feel free to suggest what guns you want to see covered next. My name's On, and I'm off.